In the days when the earth was young and the trees still whispered to the wind, there was a woman named Nena who lived in the quiet village of Umropra. Her husband, Obina, was a humble farmer who rose each morning before the cock crowed to greet the soil with his hoe. For many seasons they had no child, and though they loved each other deeply, their heart often echoed with silence instead of laughter. One night, when the moon was full and bright as a calabash of milk, Nena went to the sacred grove to pray. She knelt before the old Iroko tree, the one people said was the dwelling place of Ola, the earth goddess. Mother of the soil, she whispered, if you bless me with a child, I will raise him to honor you and protect our land. As the wind sighed through the trees, a soft flame flickered from the roots of the Iroko. It did not burn the ground, it glowed, warm and alive. And from the heart of that flame came a voice like many rivers. A child will be born to you, Nena. He will carry fire in his eyes. Raise him with love, for his fire will test both your heart and your people. 9 moons later, the child came. When he opened his eyes for the first time, everyone gasped. In the center of each eye burned a tiny flame, not wild or painful, but gentle, like a candle in calm air. Akomofuna, Obina named him. May my strength never be lost. At first, the villagers feared him. They whispered that no child should carry fire inside his eyes. The priest said the gods must be testing them, and that such a child could either save the land or destroy it. But Nena only smiled when she held him close. He is light, she said, and light is never evil. As Akomofune grew, strange things happened around him. When he laughed, the heart fire burned brighter. When he cried, the wind howled through the trees. When he was angry, sparks leapt from the stones he stepped on. The elders warned his parents to keep him away from gatherings, but Obina said, how can we hide the sun? Years passed. Akomofuna grew into a strong boy who worked hard in the farm and loved to sit by the river listening to the stories of the old fisherman. But sometimes, when he was alone, his eyes glowed bright red, and visions filled his mind, visions of drought, of fire spreading across the land, of people crying for rain. He did not understand what they meant, but the dreams troubled him. One evening, as he fetched water, he saw smoke rising from the western hills. Before anyone could react, hunters ran into the village shouting that strangers had entered the sacred forest, men from another tribe who wanted to seize the land. That night, the flames reached the edge of the farms. The villagers tried to fight the fire with water and sand, but the wind fed it faster. Children cried, goats ran loose, and the air grew thick with smoke. Nena searched for her son, shouting his name, but Akomofuna had already climbed the big termite mound at the edge of the field. His eyes glowed like burning coals. He raised his hands to the sky and cried out, Spirit of my fathers, do not let our home burn. A great light burst from his eyes, bright enough to turn night into day. The fire that had been racing toward the village stopped as if struck by a wall of wind. It hissed, shuddered, and then began to move backward, swallowing itself until only smoke remained. When dawn came, not a single hut was burned. The people gathered around the boy, afraid to come close. Is he a spirit? They whispered. Is he man or God? Akomofuna fainted and slept for 3 days. When he woke, his eyes were dim, and he spoke softly. I saw the fire spirits, he said. They wanted to test us. But the gods have given me a gift, to guard this land. The chief called a meeting and sent messengers to the priest of Ola. The priest came with his staff and a calabash of sacred oil. He looked long at the boy and said, the child's eyes hold the flame of truth. Treat him well, for he will be the hand that saves or destroys this village. After that day, people respected Akomofuna. Some still feared him, but most brought him gifts, goats, yams, and beads, to honor his power. Yet the boy remained humble, always helping on the farm and sitting by the river when the day's work was done. But deep in the forest, unseen by all, something darker stirred. For many seasons after the Great Fire, Umopura lived in peace. The harvests were good, the streams sang again, and children grew strong. But the forest never forgets, and the spirits never sleep. Far away, in the shadows beyond the western hills, an ancient power that once ruled the earth awoke. It began as a whisper in the night breeze. Hunters said they heard drums deep in the forest where no man dared walk. Palm trees bent as if bowing to unseen feet. The oldest elder, Papa Nwok, said in a trembling voice, "It is Ione, the hunger spirit. Long ago, our forefathers buried it under 7 hills. It must have smelled fire again." The next moon, animals started vanishing. Goats disappeared without tracks, and at night, strange red eyes blinked between the trees. Fear returned to the hearts of the people. The chief sent for Akomafuna. "You have saved us once," he said. "The land listens to you. Go and speak to the spirits before this darkness eats us all." Akomafuna felt the call deep inside. His eyes glimmered faintly like hidden embers. "I will go," he said. "But I will not go alone." He chose 5 brave men: Obi, the fastest runner; Okoro, the hunter; Madu, who knew the forest songs; Ebra, the healer; and Ijeoma, the girl who could track by smell. Together they entered the forest before dawn, carrying charms, palm oil, and their courage. For 3 days they walked under trees older than memory. The air grew heavy, and the ground felt warm beneath their feet. On the 4th night, the moon vanished behind clouds, and the wind became still. That was when they heard it, a deep rumble, like a drum struck inside the earth. From the shadows rose a creature tall as a palm tree, with a body of smoke and a mouth of burning coals. It was Ione. The others fled, but Akomafuna stood his ground. His fire eyes blazed brighter than ever before. "Why do you return?" he shouted. The spirit's voice shook the trees. "The balance is broken. Fire was used to stop fire. The land must feed again." Akomafuna's heart pounded. He remembered the priest's words, "The fire in your eyes will test your people." He knelt, touching the soil. "If it is a sacrifice you seek," he said, "take me. Leave my people." The spirit roared, smoke circling him. "You would give yourself." "I was born from flame," he answered. "Let flame return to flame." The ground cracked. Fire rose, wrapping around him like a cloak. His friends cried out, but the light swallowed everything. When the fire died, Akomafuna was gone, and so was the spirit. For 7 days, the sky stayed red. Rain did not fall. The villagers built a shrine where he had vanished and prayed. On the 8th day, thunder rolled, and rain poured down for 3 nights without rest. The streams overflowed, the farms drank deep, and green returned to the hills. Nena wept and smiled. "My son has become the guardian of rain," she said. From that year on, whenever drought threatened, the people gathered at the shrine and called his name. Lightning would flash, and rain would follow. Years passed. Children grew hearing only his legend, but one season, when the chief's beard turned white, a boy appeared at the riverbank. He had the same bright eyes, though smaller, softer. "Who are you?" the fisherman asked. He smiled. "I am the son of fire, reborn to walk among you." He looked up at the hills and whispered, "Father, your flame still lives." When the people saw the boy, they called for the elders. Nena, now old and bent like the branch of a mango tree, came forward slowly, leaning on her stick. When her eyes met his, she trembled. The boy's face was the same as her son's when he was small, the same smile, the same spark in the eyes. "My child," she whispered, "what is your name?" He smiled gently. "They call me Chokudelu," God has answered. Tears filled her eyes. "Then the gods have indeed answered," she said. The boy grew under her care. He helped the farmers, played with the children, and sang with the drummers during moonlight nights. But there was one thing different about him. When he looked at someone with kindness, they felt warm and happy. When he looked with anger, even the strongest men turned cold inside. One season, when a strange sickness came upon the land, he walked from hut to hut, touching the sick with his hands. His palms glowed faintly, and those he touched soon recovered. The priest said, "The flame has returned to guide us again." As the years passed, the people rebuilt the shrine of Icomafuna. They decorated it with red and white cloth, cowrie shells, and the feathers of the egret. Every year, during the Feast of Fire, they danced and sang until dawn. They sang of the child who carried the flame of the gods, and the song echoed through the hills and rivers. O fire that saves, not destroys. Child of light, heart of courage. Burn bright forever, Icomafuna. Your spirit lives in our eyes. When Chukudelu turned 18, the chief of Umopra sent word that he must lead the new harvest festival. The boy accepted with humility and promised to honor the ancestors. But that night, as he slept, he dreamed of a shadow creeping through the forest, darker and colder than anything he had felt before. In the dream, a voice whispered, "The flame that saves can also burn again." He woke drenched in sweat. He went outside and saw a faint smoke rising from the sacred forest, the same place where his father had fought the hunger spirit. He knew then that his destiny was not yet complete. The next morning, he went to the elders. "The forest is calling," he said. "I must go and see what stirs." The chief frowned. "You are still a boy." "The fire within me is not," he replied. He entered the forest with only a staff and a calabash of water. The air grew still, and the shadows thickened. As he reached the heart of the forest, he found a tree blackened by old fire. Beneath it was a glowing ember, small but alive. He knelt before it and heard his father's voice, calm and deep. "My son, light is never born to rest. It must pass from hand to hand." He touched the ember. It flared and entered his body, filling him with warmth and light. When he opened his eyes again, the forest shimmered as if dawn had broken inside it. He returned to the village glowing with quiet strength. From that day, the rains came at his word, and no sickness returned. Nena, his grandmother, passed peacefully soon after, whispering, "The flame lives on." The villagers buried her beside the old shrine, and from her grave grew a small tree with red leaves and white flowers. The years rolled like waves. Chukudelu grew into a man, wise and gentle like the father he never met. He married Adis, a woman whose laughter could quiet the wind. Together they built a family, and the people said, "The fire of Icomafuna now burns in many hearts." Every child born in Umopura was taken to the shrine on the 8th day to receive a blessing. The elders would touch a bit of red clay to the child's forehead and say, "May the light of Icomafuna guide you." Seasons passed, and the land of Umopura flourished like never before. The people said it was because the spirit smiled on them, but deep down they knew it was because the fire of truth lived among them again. Chukudelu's name traveled beyond the hills, across rivers and through markets. Strangers came to learn from him, and he welcomed them with open arms. Every evening, when the sun bled red across the sky, he would sit before the shrine of his father, the air heavy with the smell of palm oil and burning herbs. He spoke softly, as if to the wind. "Father," he would say, "your fire did not end, it simply found a new home." One year, a great drought struck the neighboring villages. Their rivers dried, their yams withered, and their people grew weak. They sent messengers to Umuokpra, begging for help. The elders gathered, and all eyes turned to Chokodelu. He rose slowly and said, "No land should thirst while ours drinks." He took a calabash of water, a handful of ashes from his father's shrine, and walked to the border of the dry land. There he knelt and poured the water on the ground. The dust hissed, steam rose, and thunder growled. Rain began to fall, slow at first, then heavy. Children danced, old women sang, and men beat their chests in joy. The people of the neighboring land called him Izoku, the king of fire and rain. They built their own small shrine to honor him and promised never to forget the mercy that came from Umuopra. But as Chukudelu aged, he spoke less of miracles and more of wisdom. He gathered the youth under the udala tree and told them stories. He said, "Fire is not strength, wisdom is. The flame obeys only the one whose heart is pure." He taught them that kindness is a stronger weapon than power, and that true light is carried in the heart, not the eyes. When he became very old, his hair white like cotton and his back bent, he called his children and grandchildren around him. "My time has come," he said softly. "When I am gone, do not build another shrine for me. Instead, keep the fire of goodness in your homes. Speak truth, work hard, and protect the weak. That is the real flame." That night the moon was full, and the air was calm. The people saw a soft glow rise from his heart, gentle and golden. It touched every rooftop, every tree, and every sleeping face. In the morning, they found him seated quietly, eyes closed, a faint smile on his lips. Beside him burned a small lamp that never went out, no matter how much the wind blew. The villagers took it as a sign. They placed the lamp in the center of the square and named it Okundo, the fire of life. From that day, whenever anyone felt lost or afraid, they would stand before the lamp and whisper their worries. The flame always flickered as if listening. Generations passed, and the story of the child born with fire in his eyes became legend. Mothers told it while weaving baskets, fathers told it while tapping palm wine, and travelers carried it to far-off lands. Each told it a little differently, but all ended with the same words. The child who carried fire in his eyes did not come to burn, but to light the path for those who walked in darkness. And so, whenever lightning splits the sky over Umuokpra, the people smile and say to their children, "Do not be afraid, that is Ikomafuna, the son of fire, watching over us still."